Welcome to the Gwinnett Daily Post Podcast. Today is Tuesday, March 21st, and happy 61st birthday to Rosie O'Donnell.
It's the Rosie O'Donnell Show.
I'm Bruce Jenkins, and here are your top stories presented by Mall of Georgia Dodge Jeep Chrysler. Gwinnett leaders participated in the two-year remembrance of the Atlanta and Cherokee spa shootings. The chairman of the Atlanta Regional Commission says rising home prices in Gwinnett are not sustainable. And we get our hockey update with our friends from the Atlanta Gladiators. And as we prepare for the 2023 Masters, Times Journal Incorporated sports editor John Bednarowski takes us on a tour of Augusta National presented by Ingalls. We'll have all of this and more on the Gwinnett Daily Post Podcast.
We sat down with Lauren Livesay and Colin Cappy, second-generation employees at Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep, to talk about their great customers both here in Gwinnett and across the country.
Well, one of my neighbors bought all his cars from us, and when I see him in the morning, I give him a good wave, and I'm very thankful for that. And he continues to want to purchase vehicles from us because of the good experiences he's had.
We have people from out of state that will come back that have been buying cars from us for years that'll drive on in or fly on in, trade in their car, get a new one, and leave. And we have some that are just loyal customers that have been with us for 28, 29 years. But then we have the ones, we have a very big online presence. We've been getting a lot of product, and we've been shipping them out all over the United States.
Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep. Go see them on the lot at 4345 Buford Drive in Buford, or go online and find them at mallofgeorgachryslerDodgeJeep.com.
Gwinnett County legislators, District Attorney Patsy Austin-Gatson and U.S. Rep. Lucy McBath participated in a remembrance marking the two-year anniversary of two shootings that shook the local Asian American community. The shootings happened on March 16, 2021 at two Asian-owned spas in Metro Atlanta, one in Atlanta and another in Cherokee County, and resulted in the deaths of 8 people. Many people have labeled the shootings as racially motivated hate crimes because most of the victims were Asian Americans. The anniversary brought pledges from elected officials to tackle hate crimes and gun violence. U.S. Representative Lucy McBath said supporters of gun control legislation must rededicate themselves to fighting for laws to be passed to address gun violence. She highlighted the passage last year to the Safer Communities Act in Congress. Gun control is something which has been a signature issue for the Congresswoman who lost her son to gun violence more than a decade ago. It's becoming harder for frontline workers such as police officers, firefighters, nurses, and teachers who work in Gwinnett County to also live in the county, according to the head of the Atlanta Regional Commissioners Board of Directors. ARC Board Chairman Carrie Armstrong said housing is a major issue facing Gwinnett County and the Atlanta region as a whole. As he addressed the Gwinnett Chamber this week, Armstrong said there are a number of issues that face the Atlanta metro area region, including transportation, resiliency in areas such as water, homeland security, infrastructure, and equal access to opportunity remain challenges the area has to continually address. But he added that a lack of affordable housing is an issue that can threaten the region's sustainability if not addressed, particularly with Metro Atlanta's population expected to grow by 1.8 million people, the equivalent of Metro Nashville's entire current population by 2050. The ARC set up the Metro Atlanta housing strategy a few years back in an effort to address the housing affordability issue on a regional scale. The strategy is designed to provide local government officials with information about their housing situation and to show them potential solutions that can be used to address affordability issues. Gwinnett County Police Department officials say violent crime was down in 2022, but they're taking steps to further reduce it by taking a new approach to tackle crimes that involve guns. The department has created a new gun crimes unit that'll use technology and data as well as intelligence gathered by investigators to connect the guns used during crimes to criminals. The new unit, which currently has 2 investigators, was launched on February the 1st. The gun crimes unit is one step the police department announced it is taking to address violent crimes and solve them. Uniformed officers are receiving new training on collecting shell casings from crime scenes, and they'll work more closely with the department's gang unit to investigate gun thefts, illegal possession, and illegal sales cases. The police department already has some data that sheds light on crimes that involve guns. One such fact that they are highlighting is that 91% of guns which are stolen in Gwinnett County are taken from a vehicle. That has led to the department's Community Affairs section offering firearm safety and security classes, which are available to all Gwinnett residents. The department is also offering residents free gun locks, which can be picked up at the GCPD headquarters as well as all of its precincts. As a youngster racing Bandolero and Legends cars on Atlanta Motor Speedway, Joey Logano won many races, but as a NASCAR Cup Series driver, he never got to victory lane at AMS until Sunday. Logano started from the pole, dominated the first two stages, and led a high race 140 laps, but it all came down to the last lap. Logano and Brad Keselowski battled the last several laps, with Keselowski running the outside line in first and Logano running in second place on the bottom. On the final lap, Logano was able to take the lead and cross the finish line first. Logano said that all the memories of him and his dad racing at AMS, getting the win was his career coming full circle.
Hi, I'm Peggy with Peggy Slappy Properties. Our experienced realtors are ready to make the play and help you find your next home. Whether buying, selling, or renting, our winning team will help you navigate today's market. Call us today, 770-271-5555, or check us out online at psponline.com. Enriching lives one story at a time with over 40 years and counting.
Everyone is worried about inflation, and for many on a fixed income, Tom M. Wages Funeral Service pre-funding funeral prearrangements allows you to beat inflation. Because we put your money in a trust, Tom M. Wages is able to guarantee your family will not have to pay the future costs of goods and services, regardless of how much it increases in the future. Prices will always go up. A sure way to save money and beat inflation is to pre-fund your prearranged funeral today. Let the family service professionals at Tom M. Wages in Snellville or Lawrenceville help you. Call Tom M. Wages at 770-978-3200 or email Jim at wagesfuneralhome.com. Tom M. Wages, the most respected and requested funeral home in Gwinnett County.
The Gwinnett Daily Post is giving away a family 4-pack of tickets to Fernbank Museum. Call 404-997-8655 and leave a voicemail for your chance to win 4 tickets to go to Fernbank.
Hello, Canada and hockey fans in the United States and Newfoundland.
And now, here's your Atlanta Gladiators' Liam Gottimer to give us an update on the Glads as they continue their push towards the playoffs.
And we're back with Liam Gottimer of the Atlanta Gladiators. And Liam, kind of an up and down week. It started out really well with a win over the Swamp Rabbits.
Yeah, that's right. It was, again, second home game against the Swamp Rabbits in a row. And the Gladiators were able to come out with a 5-4 win. The Gladiators got Noah Lowen back in their lineup for that game. He scored a goal in his first game back and then was subsequently sent back to the Tucson Roadrunners. Mitch Walensky got his first professional goal this past Tuesday against the Swamp Rabbits. That gave the Gladiators a 4-3 lead in the third period. And the Gladiators would go on to win by a final score of 5-4. So that was a game that they really needed against a division opponent. And for the second straight game, Matt, the Gladiators, they kept Greenville off the board, giving them no points while the Gladiators gained 4 in their last 2.
That's huge to get. That is a big stretch to get. So the Glads went out of the division for the weekend and head up to play at Reading. How'd that look?
Yeah, so Friday night, the first game of the 3-set against the Royals, the Gladiators fell 8-2. It wasn't the greatest game for the Glads. Reading actually scored the first 6 goals of the game, and the Gladiators would get on the board with Mike Pellick scoring a shorthanded goal, his 12th of the season. Reading would add 2 more, and the Gladiators would get the last goal of the game, the only goal of the third period. That was Cody Sylvester, and he got his 30th goal of the season. So congratulations to Cody Sylvester for his 30-goal season. Pellick with a shorthanded goal, but that's about as far as the positives go from the first game against the Royals.
And the second game, a little bit better. Still fell a little bit short, but definitely better than giving up 8 goals.
Right, definitely better than giving up 8 goals. Again, it was a defeat, but a much more narrow defeat than the night previous, and the Gladiators fell behind 3-0 in that game, and they were able to get a goal from Billy Constantino, who was transitioning from defense to forward in that game, so to see him score was really cool. It was his 6th goal of the season in totality, his 2nd since returning to the Gladiators this season, and Sang-Hoon Shin would get a goal with the net empty late in the game with just over 3 minutes left to go. His 25th of the season brought the Gladiators within 1, but they would just run out of time in that game.
Absolutely. It was definitely fun to watch them come back and show some fight. And then, hey, on Sunday, you got the win.
Yeah, Sunday we got the win, again, by the same score that we lost the night previous against the Royals, a 3-2 win. Mitch Walensky gets his 2nd goal in his professional career to start things off. So he has a goal this past Tuesday against the Swamp Rabbits, and then a goal on Sunday afternoon on the power play. Sang-Hoon Shin got his 2nd goal in as many games, his 26th of the season, a breakaway goal. Another shorthanded goal for the Glads, Tyson Empey, who hadn't scored in quite a while, his 4th of the season. So it was a good day for the Glads on Sunday.
Absolutely. So after the 2 wins and then the 2 losses, where are the Glads now in the standings?
So the Glads remain in 5th place in the South Division standings. So they're ahead of only Orlando and Savannah. And it's no surprise that Orlando and Savannah are the 2 teams that the Gladiators have had the most success against in the South Division. They're currently looking up to the Florida Everblades, and that's the team you want to circle if you're a Gladiators fan, the Florida Everblades, because there's still 5 more head-to-head meetings between the 2 teams. But that does come with a little bit of hesitation because the Everblades have played 4 less games than the Gladiators and are still 4 points up on Atlanta. So again, those games in hand, they matter, but anybody in hockey, anybody in sports will tell you that games in hands are great, but you have to win those games in hand. So Florida still has work to do, and if the Gladiators can get the job done against the Everblades in the majority of those final 5 meetings against Florida, then a playoff spot is still attainable.
And yeah, exciting that the Glads have multiple chances against the Everblades coming up, and that those games are all going to be really fun. We'll talk about one that's going to be next week, but before we get to that, this Friday we've got the Maine Mariners coming into town.
Yep, it's the last out-of-division opponent of the season for the Gladiators. It's the 3rd time that they're seeing the Maine Mariners this season. They split a 2-game set earlier this year on the road. I believe the Gladiators won 5-2 in the one game that they were able to defeat the Mariners, lost 6-2 in the game that they lost. It's Marvel's Superhero Night at Gas South Arena on Friday nights, so I would encourage all fans, all Marvel fans, hockey fans, or just anybody who's looking for something to do on a Friday night to check out the Gladiators and the Mariners, because these are 2 good teams. These are 2 teams that are fighting for playoff position. So again, like we spoke about in previous episodes with the Gladiators' upcoming games at the time against the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, every game means the most to each team, which means it should be a competitive, fiery game for sure.
Yeah, and Marvel Night is always going to be a fun time, something I definitely enjoy, and the team's going to be wearing special Ant-Man themed jerseys for this game.
Yes, that's correct. They'll be wearing special Ant-Man themed jerseys during the game and during warm-ups as well, and they will be auctioned off to fans who are interested in purchasing them after the game.
Always a fun thing when in hockey, when you get to see them wear special jerseys, and then fans have a chance to purchase really a unique piece of memorabilia that you can't really just find anywhere. And then so we'll have a few days off in between, and then we'll talk about that Florida Everblades one coming up, not this Wednesday but next Wednesday, and it's a pretty good ticket deal. It's $5 Wednesdays.
Yes, it's $5 Wednesdays, so we encourage everybody to take advantage of the promotion. Also, the Pet Supply Drive on Wednesday the 29th as well, so definitely get out there, enjoy the $5 tickets, and be a part of something great against the Everblades. And again, doesn't get any bigger than that game. So, the Everblades are the team, or the opponent rather, that Gladiators fans want to circle, and it's a Wednesday night game, but again, that's going to be a huge matchup that could very well determine whether the Gladiators make the postseason or they don't.
I mean, you're not going to find many other opportunities to get tickets to a game as postseason implications for just $5. That's such an amazing deal, and it's such a huge game. It's going to be exciting to watch that here in the next week. But first, hey, it's going to be a good night Friday night with Ant-Man, and hopefully a good win against the out-of-division opponent.
Definitely. The Gladiators at this point, all they can do is take it game by game and just hope that they can come away with the victory, of course, on Friday night, and then head into the game against Florida, hopefully with 2 wins in a row under their belt, and kind of set them forth the right way as they head towards the end of the year.
Absolutely. Well, Liam, always appreciate you coming by, and hopefully we have more wins to talk about next week.
My pleasure, Matt. Good joining you again.
Registration is open for the 2023 Gwinnett Football League season for both youth football players and cheerleaders. The GFL, which feeds Gwinnett County's high school programs, features member associations at school clusters around the county. Age groups range from 6 and 7-year-olds up to 8th grade. For details and registration forms, go to gflsports.com under the Parents tab/page. Each cluster schools association page will have complete registration details and can be accessed from the main GFL page. Becca Wilson had a gut feeling that after her son, Caden, was hit in the head with a baseball before a game on April 22nd, that his injury might be worse than it initially appeared. Caden, who plays for North Gwinnett High School's baseball team, was knocked unconscious after the ball hit him during batting practice before a game against Loganville High School. He had been loading balls into the pitching machine and couldn't get behind a protective screen in time before a teammate hit a line drive up the middle. Caden regained consciousness pretty quickly, but had bruises and was repeating himself, so his mother took him to the hospital. The mother's intuition turned out to be right. Caden had suffered a concussion, temporal bone fracture, traumatic epidural hematoma, nasal bone fractures, unical herniation, and a subarachnoid hemorrhage. While he was getting a CAT scan in the hospital's emergency department, his condition began to deteriorate, which doctors referred to as decompensating, as he fell into a coma. Doctors immediately took him to surgery to remove a clot and relieve pressure on his brain. Caden quickly recovered and is back starting third base for the Bulldogs just 10 months after his injury. Caden said his recovery was tough at first, but the prospect of being an athlete again and getting back to baseball drove him to get better. And now, as we get closer to the start of the 2023 Masters, Times Journal Incorporated sports editor John Bednarowski joins the show to take us on a tour of Augusta National presented by Ingalls.
John, you've had as we talked about, you had the unique privilege of getting to play Augusta National. So what we're going to do now, and we're going to go through these holes, and let's get your impression having played Augusta National.
You get ready to play, and the first thing you do is you head out to the driving range. And they assign you a caddy, and my caddy was named David. And I got out there, and it's funny because, when you have a real job like us,
right?
You don't get to play nearly as much golf as you'd like. And I had been out of practice. I think I'd played once or twice over the previous year and a half. So I'm out there, and the first thing I did is I looked at David and I said, all right, I'm going to apologize now. It's going to be the only time that I do.
Just get it out of the way.
Exactly. And, I got out there and I started warming up. And for some unknown reason, I was hitting the ball on the club face. So it's like, okay, I'm not getting my hopes up. Then I go over to the practice green, and we were able to use the tournament practice green to warm up. And I started rolling it, and if you can't put a good roll on those greens, there's something wrong.
Right.
And I quickly started to get a feel for the speed. And if you haven't played golf in a long time, the first things that go are your touch and your short game.
Of course.
So I'm rolling the ball pretty good, and I'm like, okay. And then you get the call. Okay, you guys are on the tee. So we get over to the first tee.
Were you nervous?
Oh, absolutely. And you get over to the first tee, and now, thank goodness we're not playing the tournament course,
right?
Because I'd still be out there. But they have you play the membership tees. But still, you get out there, and the head pro is out there on the tee, starting everybody. You get pictures with your group, and there's a number of Augusta National players, and I don't know if they're members or staff or whatever, but they're out there to send you off. And the head pro puts his hand on my shoulder and says, "It's your honor." I'm going, "Oh, great. I got to go first." So I put the peg in the ground. I get up there and I tee off, and I look up, and I've hit just the nicest little, straight down the middle with just a little bit of a fade. It goes out there about 240, 250 yards. And it's like, I need to just go home now because it's not going to get any better.
Yeah, you
than that.
jackpotted your first pull, so to speak.
So, off and running. And I start thinking, this is the same spot that Nicklaus and Palmer and Player and Watson and all those, all the greats. They're just one. And I'm just trying to soak it all in. And it was interesting because one of the gentlemen in my group had never before played a round of golf and got selected.
Wow.
And it was a former football player.
See, now, if I was out there, you wouldn't think I had either, but that's just how bad I am. But go ahead, sorry.
Well, this gentleman was a former football player from East Carolina, and he was doing East Carolina TV.
Okay.
And he gets out there, and, when you're a football player or a baseball player, basketball player, there's athletic ability that comes into play in every instance, okay?
Yeah.
And now here's a ball that's not moving.
Right.
And they put a stick in your hand, and
with one flat side.
Yeah, and what happens when you take your first swing at a golf ball that you've ever done? It's right. It can be very humbling.
It could be very humbling on your 1 millionth swing.
Well, long story short there, eventually, by the time he got into the middle of the round, eye-hand coordination was starting to catch up a little bit.
Sure.
And, he hit a couple of good shots and all that. And he did have time. But I sit there and I've always thought, it's like, okay, you've set the bar so high for the level of golf courses that you're playing. There's no way you can do any better than that. But anyway, I walked down the first fairway with my caddy, and my ball came to rest in the middle of the upslope, and I did not hit a good second shot, but it did go straight. So I had about 30 yards short of the green. And like I said, if you don't play for a while, the short game's the first thing to go, right?
Right.
So I've got this little flip wedge that I'm trying to hit in there, and I know, you could try to open the club face and take it in high and see if you can get it land. And I'm going, I know for a fact I haven't practiced enough to pull that off. So I hit a little pitching wedge, and I hit it into the slope, and the thing hops up, rolls to the top of the plateau, and stops about 6 feet behind the hole. And I'm going, who's playing this? I missed the putt and made 5,
right.
But it was like, okay, that's acceptable. So, then I head over to number 2. Number 2 is par 5 down the hill, dog leg left. And again, I get up there and I hit a good drive, and then I hit a 3-iron second shot down into the low part, down by the crosswalk where the fans will go across the fairway to get to the different holes. Now, the second hole, the green slopes from left to right, and it is drastic. And usually on Sunday, and in this case, the pin is tucked behind the bunker on the right-hand side. It's about 5 feet onto the green. Now, if you hit it in the right place, the slope will sit there and bring it all the way down to the hole. I'm hitting 8-iron in for my third shot, and I pull it just a little bit left. if I would have hit it where I wanted to, I think I would have gotten it on that slope where it would have carried it down. Instead, I stayed way up on top. I've got 50 feet, and it's Gary McCord, when he was calling golf for CBS Sports. When he first started, he was at the Memorial Tournament. He was up in the...
Best mustache ever, by the way.
Oh, yeah. He was up in the tower with Vern Lundquist, and Vern said, they were on 16 at Memorial, and they've got a hill similar to that, but it's behind the green. And somebody had hit their ball up there, and Vern says, Gary, what's he got? He says, well, take a ball and chip it onto your driveway and see if you can get it to stop. That's kind of the putt that I had. And now, one thing you learn very quickly is regardless of how good of a player you are, you're never going to read the Augusta National greens correctly.
Right.
And one of the things that I told David when I was out there is I used to be a good player. I mean, there was a time where I had my handicap down to 1 or 2. So I used to be a good player. I want to read the greens. And after I'm done reading the greens, then you're going to tell me where to putt the ball, because these guys have knowledge of, like, unbelievable. So I think by the end of the round, I would have gotten about 4 greens correct. So he lines it up, and he says, he points to a spot about 15 feet in front of me, and I'm putting away from the hole, kind of up the hill. And he says, get it to roll over this spot, almost where you're dying it right there. I got up there, hit what I thought was a good putt. It rolled right over that spot, and it started trickling. And it rolled all the way around the back edge of the green, came all the way back down to the hole, went by the hole. I had 4 feet coming back, and I made the putt for par.
Wow.
And again, that's when I should have walked off the golf course.
Yeah. Well, you were listening to John Bednarowski, the sports editor of the Marietta Daily Journal, as John had the recent privilege of getting to play at Augusta National. And John, I just want to keep people up to date in case they're joining this somewhere past the beginning.
So I've started bogey par, and now I'm going to the third hole. Now the third hole is a very short par 4. For the pros, it's about 350.
Right.
And some pros are debating whether or not to try and drive the green. There's a big slope right in front of the green, which if you drive it into, I don't want to say it leaves you with a simple pitch shot. It probably is for them, but I mean it's the third green is almost like an L, and the pin is always on the left-hand side because it's very thin. Not very deep when you're hitting your approach shot. Well, I get up on the third tee, and I'm feeling really good about myself because I've started bogey par, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I can actually shoot a score, and I came back down to earth in a hurry. I hit my tee shot. I was in the fairway, and then my second shot, I had 6-iron in, and I hit it into the left-hand bunker. And some of the bunkers at Augusta National, and this one in this case, it's like you hit it at the base of a mountain, and then you're trying to get it out of the sand up over this. I mean, you're looking at 20 feet to get to the putting surface height, to get over the lip. And I left my first shot in the bunker. And the second one I got out, but it went considerably past the pin. And I two-putted for my first double bogey of the day. So it's a humbling experience. All of a sudden you go from the high to, okay, I am not a professional golfer,
Right.
I'm a sports editor.
Right. It's a tough sport. There's no doubt about it.
Engineered solutions of Georgia. We guarantee a stable, dry foundation. With over 30 years of experience and a lifetime of support, residential and commercial. Hey, we do it all. For basement waterproofing and repairs to your foundation. Dial 678 ESOG now.
From the water that flows from your tap to the roads you drive on your way to work, Gwinnett County government provides high-quality services to residents every day. Our residents, businesses, schools, local governments, and nonprofits have a long tradition of working together to make Gwinnett the best place to live, work, play, and raise a family. Together, we'll ensure that Gwinnett is a place where everyone thrives. Learn more about county services at GwinnettCounty.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at GwinnettGov.
Thanks again for listening to today's Gwinnett Daily Post Podcast. Did you know over 50% of Americans listen to podcasts weekly? Make sure you join us for our next episode and be sure to share this podcast on social media with your friends and family. Add us to your Alexa Flash Briefing or your Google Home Briefing, and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. Darren Sutherland, executive producer. Jacob Sutherland, director. Producers Jason Gentarola and Matt Golden. And Jinrei Zhang, video producer. All rights reserved.